Welcome to the National Basketball Championship preview here at Acadia University, joined by Axewomen basketball head coach Len Harvey. His team had an 11-4 regular season record, culminated with a 3-0 AUS championship weekend and a championship game victory over the Cape Breton University Capers. You drew the 5 seed, you take on number 4 Brock Badgers, 4 o'clock Atlantic coming up here. We'll get to all that in a minute, but we'll get to Brock later. Can't go past talking about this tournament. I know it's a little bit in the rearview mirror, but 5 championship tournament appearances in a row. You've taken 3 of the last 4 conference banners. It's a battle-tested group. So you go away to nationals, you know that in any culture, any scenario, when the chips are down, you guys have been through it.
Yeah, so you feel good about them for sure with, how they performed at Scotiabank Center last weekend, and you guys, us. We're just preach attitude. So, seeing them actually putting that into action when it was looking pretty bleak there on Sunday early. So it was we were really happy with how things wound up there for sure.
So, and since then we've heard so much about Jada Vina. She was the conference MVP, regular season AUS tournament MVP at a pair of 30-plus point games, including the championship game. I mean, what more can you say? Lizzie ICM was her normal point-getting rebound machine. I want to bring you back to the AUS semifinal against St. Mary's. Jada had an off night for her standards, 11 points. I think Lizzie had 7, but you still put up 82. Pair of 19-point performances off the bench. Eva Widmeyer, Sarah Delory, Sandy Saunders had 17 from the starting lineup. It showed a real resiliency in your group of playing through that when your star's not going. Talk about that, and that gives you some confidence because there's going to be some road bumps at a nationals in the same fashion.
Yeah, I've always kind of looked at us as, of course Jada is, generational talent, of course, it's never to take any shine off of Jada at all, but I think for everybody who's watched us, they see that Jada's scoring and stuff happens very naturally. It happens organically. She doesn't have to force it too much. It happens within the flow of our offense, what we're trying to do. So it was just nice to see when she wasn't going, and it was a bit of a tougher game for her that night, and they were keyed in. They had I think one of the best, arguably the best defensive player in the conference playing against her in Gascoigne. So it was just awesome to see those players step in. But then at the same time, I'm not crazy surprised that they've had those moments all season, and we kind of just talk about the ball's going to find the people who at that time need to shoot it, and it did that night for sure.
So AUS tournament ends. Typically, you would kind of run right into a Thursday start, happens right away. This time around, you have a weekend in between. So some practice days. I've heard mixed kind of opinions from coaches. Some would love to have the momentum and ride it right into nationals. Others love the prep time. Where did you fall?
Love the prep time. Yeah, love the prep time. I think it's we've been in that, take your clothes home, wash them, and put them back in the bag, and then go to the airport for 2 seasons. And it's tough sledding. It's not easy, and it's hard to turn it back around. And I think that's the performance piece, but the part that gets forgotten a lot with this stuff is they got to enjoy it.
Yeah.
They won a championship on Sunday, and they could come back on the bus. It was funny as we're driving back, I'm usually on the phone, getting your flight stuff, and you're giving them information, and it was just like they were coming back, they could enjoy it. They had a couple days to enjoy the win and enjoy that experience. So I thought that was probably an under maybe less thought of bonus of having that time, and then we got to, obviously the performance piece is huge. I think just to get a quick few days on your legs that some other teams don't have right now, that's positive.
Yeah, fantastic perspective there. And so I guess we'll jump right into Brock here. 12-0 regular season in the OUA, runner-up in the conference. They have 2 players going really well in the playoffs right now, Madeline Weinert and Mackenzie Robinson. Talk a little bit about their horses and maybe what you see in their game to slow them down.
Yeah, well, they do a lot of similar stuff to us. Like they're looking to, kind of get their offenses free-flowing. It's get the dominoes falling, attack matchups, and so there are some neat similarities there. The elephant in the room, obviously, with Brock is, they had the OUA MVP. who departed a couple weeks ago to go play in a professional contract, which is, another COVID, result of COVID and people not sure what what things are going to look like. So she departed after the original U Sports Nationals date.
Right.
Which it's tough for them to try and replace that, but they've won 2 games in the playoffs, in the quarterfinal and semi, and then lost in the Critelli Cup without her in overtime. So they're no slouch at all. Robinson's a really dynamic player. We actually played against her a number of years ago up at Carleton when she was playing for Laurentian before she transferred in. So she's a savvy 5th year, tough, wants to get it done. And Weinert is, I've been really impressed with her. I like her a lot, actually. It's as coaches, you see kids on other teams where you're like, I really like that guy. I really like that player. She's tough. She plays with a little bit of an edge. She rebounds. She kind of does the little things for them, but she scores the ball right now. She's had to step into a role to replace her, and Mackenzie have stepped into a role to replace, Kelto's production, and I think they've been awesome.
The one other thing that stood out for me in the regular season, they held teams to under 52 points per game. That bumped up a little bit for the Critelli Cup playoffs, 58 points per game over 3. But they can slug it out and grind it out. Meanwhile, your playoff run, you guys averaged just a shade under 80. So what do you see in their defense maybe that is going to be a challenge for you guys to overcome?
They're disruptive. They like to switch. They're very aggressive. I think that's something I find them very tough and gritty. They'll same as offensively where they'll attack some matchups. Defensively, they're attacking matchups too, or maybe not attacking matchups.
Right.
Is maybe more apropos for what they're doing. And I say that to our players often. Actually, they're not guarding you. So are you going to take that as a bit of a shot in the chin here or not? Like we have to start to make sure that we're getting contributions from across our roster. They're obviously going to key on everybody in the country knows the bodies that they're going to key on, but I think we've proven also that we have some depth in scoring and we found a way to put points on the board in most games this season. It hasn't always been pretty, but some games it's real pretty. So maybe we get a pretty one on Thursday.
For sure. So last question for you. We have some familiarity with Mike Rayo. His son was an assistant here at Acadian at CBU in the past. So Mike brings the heat. This team's going to be ready to play. Yeah. You mentioned they lost Keltos. They lost in overtime to the number 1 seed in the U Sports tournament, Ryerson Rams. They're going to be bringing it here, and it's going to happen early. That's something I'm sure you guys have front of mind.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Coach Rayo, and obviously know Chris well, and through his time here at Acadia. But Mike's a throwback. I've got a really soft spot in a lot of ways. Mike's been a teacher coach his whole career, and it's been just really awesome to see him have just the success that he deserves. At this level, and he did such a fantastic job at Notre Dame for decades, so this is really kind of cool. Not surprising either. It's just he coaches winners. So they're going to come after us for sure. I think I would also say it's going to be their response is going to be interesting for to see how they come out of that Sunday loss. It's it can be galvanizing and but it's also obviously pretty disappointing. For sure. So they'll. I know that he'll have them ready. I know that they're going to be real tough. They're going to be gritty. They're going to get after us, and we've got to get ready. Every team at the tournament's great. So we've got to be ready to play anytime that we're stepping foot on the court.
Fantastic stuff. The bus is literally idling outside, waiting for this guy to get on. We so appreciate the time. You can catch all the action streaming on CBC Sports and the CBC Gem app. Again, the second quarterfinal, number 2, 4 p.m. Acadia and Brock. Coach, best of luck. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks a lot.
All right.